So I saw the Five Nights at Frederick Fazbarrington movie and I thought it was okay. It wasn't really that great and amazing, but it also really wasn't that bad. I thought for what they were given, the people behind the movie did as good as a job as they possibly could. Now, my experience with Five Nights at Freddy's goes all the way back to high school when I heard about people playing the game, saying it was very scary with all the jump scares and everything. I never really thought it was scary. I saw it more as a goofy little funny game more than anything, and I knew about the fake reactions before anyone. So I never really was a huge fan, but a lot of people did like it, and a lot of videos were made on the game, so I eventually learned about the game because everyone else was talking about it. And so now that leads me today where I consider myself a Five Nights connoisseur. I probably know a lot about the lore and the story and the theories than the average fan. Now, when the movie was announced, people thought this was the greatest thing since sliced bread. I, for one, was skeptical because I then found out it was going to be made by Blumhouse, and if you don't know who Blumhouse is, they are basically responsible for a lot of scary movies you've probably have seen for the lowest budget possible so that they then can make a huge profit and make even more of the movies you know. So, about the movie. The story is about Mike, who needs to get a new job and ends up getting a job as a night security guard at a place called Freddy Fazbear's Pizzeria. It could be called something else, but I don't really know. Eventually, he has to take his daughter into the job, and the longer he stays, he ends up finding more about the history of Freddy Fazbear's Pizzeria. Also, there is another character named Vanessa, who I will talk about later. And obviously, you probably already knew that from the trailers, and you probably already know about Five Nights at Freddy's. The animatronics are the stars of the pizzeria. By the way, the pizzeria is shut down. It's been since the 80s. The animatronics are actually haunted, and they want to kill people, because that's what they do. This is considered a scary movie, though it wasn't really that scary. This movie really got famous from its jump scares, and there wasn't really a lot of those, which was very disappointing. There was a few. There was jump scares done by a certain character that was extremely forced and, didn't really feel scary. In fact, it was kind of stupid and annoying, so that really sucks. Other than that, I really found myself laughing at the animatronics because they look so goofy, and the fact that I was watching a Five Nights at Freddy's movie also kind of made me laugh a lot, so there's that. But yeah, this movie really wasn't that scary, and that really sucks because this is Five Nights at Freddy's. It's supposed to be creepy and ominous and mysterious, and the jump scares is the cherry on top. As far as the acting goes, the main character is played by Josh Hutcherson, which you might know from Bridge to Terabithia, that I actually watched a lot and did not cry. And also this movie had Matthew Lillard from famous movies that you all have definitely watched, 13 Ghosts. So obviously this film was pretty stacked with these actors. I'm kidding. If you know Blumhouse, you know that they specialize in having the lowest budget possible. But as far as the acting was pretty good. Josh pretty much was the best character. Everyone else did an average job. I didn't really find anything spectacular about anyone else besides Josh. As far as the writing goes, I say it was hit or miss because there were some things said by some characters that felt a bit jarring and weird for some people to just say. And the character Vanessa said something to Josh that was completely out of the blue and very unnatural to say. I'll talk about that later. But writing wise, it was fine. I would say it wasn't like anything stand out. I did find myself a little bored at times with how the movie was going, and there were some choices that were made that I thought was very goofy, and I, of course, will talk about that. This movie did do a good job at making the animatronics look the way they did. It had that style of looking cheaply made, but also terrifying in some ways, because that's really what Five Nights is about, having these old-styled animatronic look as creepy as they do. And the sets that they used was also pretty good. They used a real abandoned building to make the Freddy Fazbear's Pizzeria building, and yeah, it was pretty good. The games looked authentic and real. It actually did look like an old pizzeria that was just shut down. Camera work and cinematography was also done pretty well. There was a lot of scenes that felt really creepy to watch, and nerve-wracking to even see for first-time viewers. And there was also a scene with the ball pit where Foxy was looking above it and trying to find another character, and that was done pretty well, I will say. I actually want to give them credit for that, because yeah, camera work and cinematography, this movie did a really good job of styling or capturing that creepy style that they were trying to go for. As far as the music goes in the movie, it's pretty generic. There wasn't anything stand out. Whenever the animatronics were on stage, they did play a lot of old songs, so that's to be expected, because they're from the 80s. The movie also ended with like fan or YouTuber song, I don't really know. I think it was called The Living Tombstone, and I don't want to say too many bad things about the song. It's not really something I would enjoy, but this franchise caters to a lot of kids, so who knows. But I didn't think the music needed to really stand out. They had some callbacks to some old songs in the 80s. That's really all they needed to do. Last thing I wanted to talk about before I get into specifics was basically how this movie stood on its own. I thought that for the material that they were given, they made a really decent FNAF movie. It could have been a lot more scary. There was a lot of references and callbacks to the entire franchise all throughout Five Nights as a whole. Like FNAF 1 through 4, there were some sister location Easter eggs. There was a lot of things that they took inspiration and said like, hey, let's take this from this game and put in this movie. It was like they wanted to like combine everything FNAF and put it all in one movie, and they did pretty much that with this movie. Alright, now I'm going to talk about specifics as my cat is laying here with me. Yeah, he wants to talk about Five Nights as well. This movie didn't really have anything to surprise me with, and besides the cameos, which I'll talk about in a second, the movie pretty much spoiled who was going to be William Afton. It sucks because people needed to know who William Afton is before the movie was out, so we got that information. So it really wasn't a surprise like, oh, this guy is William Afton. Like, we all knew. Like, the marketing even said that. And I don't think that's very smart. I think you should have some surprises. It's okay to let your audience, theorize and predict these things, because why would I see a movie if I know the entirety of it? Yeah, that's not really smart, and I really hope whatever they do for the second movie, because they're probably going to make like 20 of these FNAF movies. I really hope that in the future they don't talk about spoilers or spoil who's going to be who as far as casting goes, because again, that's not smart. I didn't say this much, but yeah, there's a character named Vanessa who it turns out is actually William Afton's daughter, so quick thing, they change up the lore. It's not going to be one-to-one from the games, and obviously I wouldn't want that, and I don't think anybody would, because why would you pay to watch this movie when you can just learn from the games? So yeah, Vanessa is William's daughter and is actually helping him commit these crimes of kidnapping and killing children, stuffing them into the animatronics. The animatronics become haunted, and they basically become William Afton's, William's servants, to kill even more people and, unleash chaos. But anyway, Vanessa was very weird in this movie. She came off as a very weird character, and there was a point in time where they were all having a very good time and enjoying themselves, and it was Vanessa's goal to like get Mike and his daughter away from the Freddy Fazbear's Pizzeria, and there was just a point where they were having fun and enjoying themselves, and then when Mike asked a bunch of questions and got a little bit too close, Vanessa said, "Don't come back or I will shoot you," and I think that is very stupid because it feels like there is something we missed, and yeah, that is very dumb. Also, the fact that there was a whole scene where the animatronics and the main characters are all buddies and playing together felt so weird to me, and it felt so unnatural. Like, at one point I even questioned myself, am I even watching a Five Nights at Freddy's movie? Like, what is this? Also, the plot point with Mike's aunt is very stupid. She wants to have custody over Abby, which is Mike's sister or sibling, I believe. I don't know. Abby is a character, is the main girl character, the child that goes into the pizzeria. Mike's aunt wants to take custody over her so she could gain government checks, but in the movie it seems that the aunt is pretty good as far as money, so it kind of doesn't make sense that she would want to take responsibility of this child for money, unless there was something more to this that wasn't really explained. There, of course, were a lot of references. Obviously, this video can't even cover all of them, and I don't want to. There was YouTubers that were in this movie, Matt Pat from the Theory channels, as well as Corey. Markiplier was apparently supposed to be in this movie as well, but couldn't because he's actually making his own movie. So yeah, as far as the references, they were pretty good. They weren't too annoying. I mean, the references to the games, they were all over the movie, but it's a FNAF movie, you know, haha, everyone has to do the thing where they point and be like, I know where that's from, that's this. So that's what's gonna happen in this movie a lot. I wanted to come in and talk about the audience's reaction to this movie. Five Nights at Freddy's has a lot of fans, like an unbelievable amount. It's kind of like the same situation with the Mario movie. There's going to be a lot of fans who they don't take criticism lightly, and that's sad because it's in a way immature, and I don't think that's really healthy. Just because a movie is made of a franchise that you love does not mean it is safe from criticism. I, for one, enjoyed the Sonic movies, and I'm a Sonic fan, and I can understand when it's bad. The same thing will be said for Five Nights at Freddy's. I do like the franchise, and I know when it's bad, and I know when it's good. The fans, however, the other fans who really love Five Nights at Freddy's can't seem to really have that same opinion or same mindset. They think just because this movie was made, it deserves to be a 10 out of 10. It's not a 10 out of 10, this movie. It's not. Its current Rotten Tomato score is sitting at like an 89%, which is baffling because this movie is not that great. It's clearly just a bunch of very, very, very young and immature fans flocking over to the Rotten Tomatoes website just to inflate the score and make it look like it's better than it actually is. It's not a 10 out of 10. That will never be the case with anything Blumhouse ever makes. Again, just because the movie was made does not mean it deserves to be a 10 out of 10. Also, just because other people didn't like the movie doesn't mean anything about you as a person. You don't need to go out and defend this movie like it's your own personal child or something. It's just a movie. You're paying money to see it. You don't need to defend it. The critics' jobs is to not just dislike every movie that fans will like. That is not what they do. They are criticizing the movie as a standalone film. That's what they always do since the beginning of time. And also, just because they say something about this movie like, oh, it's a movie that's made for babies, that does not mean they are calling you a baby. If you're getting offended, you're only proving the point that you are exactly what they say. To the fans of Five Nights at Freddy's, get over it. This movie is not that great. It's not perfect. It's just okay. It's not a 9 out of 10. It's not an 8. It's not a 10 out of 10. At least it's not to me. If it is to you, then that's good. But stop hating and getting upset because other people didn't like this movie. This is the same thing that happened with the Mario movie, and it's very immature, and it's just, again, it's just a movie, a film. It shouldn't be taken that serious in the first place. That's all I really wanted to say, because I just see all over Twitter that there's so many people like trash talking critics saying they don't know what they're talking about or they don't know what they're doing, and they're very, very stupid, and people should listen to the audience more because, you know, it's the audience members that are the smart one and not the critics. Yeah, you need to listen to the audience members. They're definitely not fanboying over a franchise and being completely biased and is blind to criticism. But yeah, that's it. Get over it. It's a Five Nights at Freddy's movie made by Blumhouse. It's not that big of a deal. You do not need to passionately defend it. Yeah, final thoughts. This movie's okay. I wouldn't say it's anything higher than a 6.5 out of 10. Maybe a 7 on a good day. As far as the movie itself, without thinking too much about it, which is not like my official score, I would say this is a 10 out of 10 movie, and it's peak cinema, and it's absolutely better than anything ever, and it deserves to win every single award at the Oscars this year, and I really hope it does. So thank you, Scott Cawthon and Jason Blum. You guys did a really decent job, and yeah, I can't wait for the next 5 movies to come out.